All right, so the things that you picked up when you came in, you got yourself a course syllabus, which is stapled. You got yourself a weekly syllabus. We'll take a look at all this stuff here in a moment. You have a reading packet where at the top, I think the lottery is the first reading selection in there. And then you also have a homework sheet value that has some numbers at the top in 2 columns, 1 through 5. So those would be the 4 things that you would have at this point. I know you don't really know what everything is yet, but we'll kind of let you know. Up here, again, mention to you, if there's something I need you to do or something that I need you to get out of notebook or get ready, you might even just say begin note section, or grab a piece of paper and pen, pencil for notes or quiz, prepare. But this will kind of let you know what's going to be going on throughout the course of the day, of the period. And then reminders are down here. This is usually for upcoming assignments. So for this Friday, and keep in mind, it's Tuesday. Feels like Monday, but it's Tuesday, so it's a day closer. You are going to have a reading check quiz on the packet that says the lottery. And about halfway through the packet, there is a second reading selection in there called Why Don't We Complain? So you're going to have a reading check quiz on that for Friday. You're not going to have the packet available to you during Friday, so don't bother asking about that. Your reading check quiz is going to be 10 questions. They're all multiple choice. There's going to be 5 on the story. The lottery is a fictional story. Some of you might have read it before. If you have, don't say anything about it. If you haven't, no problem. The second one, Why Don't We Complain, is a non-fiction, essay commentary thing. So 1 fiction, 1 non-fiction, 5 questions about the first one, 5 questions about the second one. But that'll pretty much be the first thing that we do on Friday. You'll have a reading check quiz for that. 10 questions, 10 points. Also on Friday, you're going to complete the homework assignment for Friday, which is the one that has the numbers 1 through 5 up at the top. I'll go over that with you. And then there is also in your course syllabus, the packet, the last page is a syllabus signature. I want you to bring that in for Friday. So on Friday is going to be a 35-point day for you. So you can walk out here with a 35 out of 35. You shouldn't walk out with a 0. You're going to have 10 points for your reading check quiz. Your homework assignment is actually 20 points because the front's going to be worth 10 points and the back is also worth 10 points. And then you'll get 5 points for the syllabus signature check. If tomorrow, Thursday, you have that syllabus signature, I can collect it from you then. You don't have to wait until Friday. But the other stuff will wait until Friday. All right. You already filled this out, not worried about it. Every week you get a weekly syllabus from me. Basically, it's just a little check of what's going to be going on throughout the course of the week. Pretty straightforward, weekly planner. I'm sure some other teachers certainly do this for you as well. So down here, you certainly get reminders that you need your syllabus signature. We will have a reading check quiz for the lottery and Why Don't We Complain, as well as that homework assignment. Throughout the course of this week, today we're just doing our basic introduction, and then we're going to start, hopefully, I think we'll be able to start today, going over a notes section where we'll start our introduction to rhetoric. We're going to continue that tomorrow, and then Thursday and Friday we'll finish off with a different set of notes dealing with core concepts for winning a debate. So this would be something just to kind of make sure that when you, if you miss a day during the course of the week, or you're just unsure of what's going to be happening because a field trip is coming up. For example, I know next week a number of people, a lot of classes have an open heart surgery that they're going to be going to. You would be able to, on Monday of next week, see what's taking place on Wednesday, which should minimize any kind of disruption. And then upcoming dates down at the bottom, just some heads up as to things that would be coming down the road for the next couple of weeks or so. So next Friday, you can tell that you're going to have a reading check quiz for another reading selection that's going to be taking place. For probably the first 4 or 5 Fridays, you'll usually have some kind of weekly quiz taking place. Sometimes they're reading check quizzes like these first few are going to be. Sometimes it might be dealing with notes that we've taken. But they're generally going to fall in that 10, 15-point range for the most part. One other thing for you to be aware of is down here at the bottom, web address, tiny URL, Mr. Kane, CHS. That is an address to an online calendar for you. It's simply just a Google Calendar. Looks like this. And I know where you're seated, you might not be able to see it very, very well. But this would also be a place where if you are absent, you would want to check this. For example, you can see introduction materials under today's date. If you go to the calendar, which is that tiny URL address, it lets you know what those things are. So come Thursday night, Monica can't find her value homework assignment. She knows it's due tomorrow because she gets that remind for me. She could come to this website, go to that introduction materials where it says value lottery homework assignment, hit the link, and then magically it should show up. And she could print it out and bring it in or whatnot. So most, I can't guarantee everything, but most things would be available through the calendar. So Intro to Rhetoric, it's going to be notes that we're going to take a look at. There's a link to the note presentation if you were missing it. So certainly would be something to kind of fall back on. When we use laptops later on in the year, we'll set up a bookmark for the page. But if you depend on Google Calendars or any kind of calendar system, it might be something that you want to add to an existing Google Calendar. And then as I put things on there, you'll certainly be aware of what stuff is going on. Any questions? Also up at the top, email address. If you need to get a hold of me, I have up there. You can use the school email address. I threw a Gmail address on there because usually you don't have to worry about spam filters and things like that as much, especially with some of the email addresses and handles that people have. Martin loves skiing 666 at Hotmail. Did you hear about the airplane on Friday the 13th? Flight, it was something like AY666. It was going from, I think, Copenhagen to Helsinki. But on the ticket, it said hell. So Friday the 13th, Air Flight 666, going to Helsinki. Mary smiled. Kendall's not. Remind information, again, you are aware of that from the back of your syllabus. Again, this isn't something that you absolutely have to use, but if it's not going to cost you so far as texting and things like that, I would suggest it. There's also email options that if you want to sign up to get an email reminder as opposed to a text message, you're certainly able to do that. If you have any questions, you can talk to me about it. Homework assignment that you have. There's two parts to it. You have this front side, and then there is also a back side to it, and you need to complete both. In total, you're looking at something that's going to be worth a grand total of 20 points, so you certainly want to be able to take care of it. If you don't complete it, it's not that you're going to fail for the semester, but you'd rather get a 20 out of 20. One of the things that we're going to take a look at, might not happen on Friday, might be next week on Monday, is going to be the idea of traditions and values. So for the first part of this assignment up here, I want you to find a person, could be friend, sibling, mom, dad, significant other, random person in study hall or cafeteria, could be a person you're sitting next to in this class right now, doesn't matter. But I want you to find a person and make a list of 5 values that you hold most dear to yourself. In theory, you would rank them in order. Like, so the number 1 most important thing to me is punctuality. Be on time every day. Some of you will go, well, here are 5 values, but I can't really put them in order. I don't know if loyalty is more important to me or, disciplined work habits and things like that. You could also put things on there where you're making like your dating profile, funny, smart. I know that doesn't apply to anyone in here, but you can still think about it. You could put things like patriotism, morals, religious values. So there's certainly interpretation as to what you would consider to be values, but give me a list of 5 values that you hold dear to your heart. Then over here, you're going to find somebody. And again, it could be a person I would think ideally that you know, but sometimes you might just kind of have to find someone else. They could certainly be in this class. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But they do not have to be in the class. Just make sure whoever you're asking is going to be able to really think about it properly. If you are babysitting for the neighbors, I would not ask the 3-year-old son, what are your 5 most important values? Legos, Hot Wheels, Power Rangers, Batman Lego movie. I don't know what the other one would be. Don't ask an animal. Don't ask your stuffed animals. Ask living, breathing person. And again, it could be an adult as well. Parent, could be teacher, although I don't count because I'll give each of you a different list and none of them will be correct. So you're going to fill this out. Then you have some questions that are going to come up down below. What values appear on both lists? Let's say, for example, someone has honesty, another person puts loyalty down. You might consider those to be similar. So even though it might not be exactly the same, you could still put some ideas that are similar. It's also quite possible that you and the other person are on opposite ends of the spectrum and there are not any similarities. That's okay. But what might be some things that account for similarities between the two lists? How similar overall would you say are your rankings when it comes 1 through 5? So you could go, we both have, 4 of the same 5 values, but the order is different. And again, if something is number 5, that doesn't mean it's not important to you. It's just not as important as the other part. And then down at the bottom, what would be some things that account for dissimilarities? So similarities, dissimilarities, certainly it could be family. If you're from the same family, you might think there would be some similarities. Different families could be some dissimilarities, gender, just overall background, ethnicity based on cultural values that maybe families have. Age could certainly be something that could account for similarities, dissimilarities, so certainly think about that. So the front of the sheet is something that you can certainly do independent of anything that we are covering in class. It does not cover any kind of reading assignment or anything of that nature. On the back side, people get scared because there's a whole bunch of lines, and I want you to write. You thought this was just all talking, not writing. You have a short story entitled The Lottery that you're going to read. You read the story first. Is the lottery morally justified? If Jake starts going, I think the lottery is morally justified because if people want to spend money on scratch-off cards, that's completely up to them. At that point, I know he's getting a 0 out of 10 because he didn't read or didn't follow directions. When it says, is the lottery morally justified, it is making reference to the short story. The short story is not about scratch-off tickets or anything like that. Okay? So read the story first, and then you're going to answer the question. Is the lottery morally justified? Is tradition sufficient justification for such actions? How would you respond to cultures that are different from ours that perform strange rituals? Explain your answer. So you're not going to go, no, yes, I don't know, maybe, and then be done. I need you to give me at least a 10-sentence response. And you can make references to things that happen in the text. It is not an essay, so I'm not going to be going, Ryan, where is your thesis statement? Where is your attention grabber, conclusion, all of that kind of stuff. You're just giving me a 10-sentence response. If you feel better and you want to write 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 10 so that you know you cover that basis, that's fine. If you want to write in paragraph form, that is fine. But I need 10 sentences about your answer to that. So if Mary writes 8 sentences, chances are she's going to be getting an 8 out of 10. If she writes 10 sentences, she has a better chance of getting a 10 out of 10. I love Smurfs. Hot Wheels are fun. Yay, Legos. Those aren't really going to count towards your 10 sentences. Okay? So that's the homework assignment for Friday. So Friday, reading check quiz, this homework assignment, which I will collect first, and then also by Friday there's a syllabus signature that we're going to take care of. Any questions? All right. And on the front as well, the hope would be that you also give a little bit of explanation as well. What accounts for similarities between the two lists? I don't know. Isn't really exactly a response. So do make sure you give me at least some thoughtful ideas to it. Your course syllabus, we are not running through the whole thing word by word, page by page. That's going to take way too much time. But I did want to go over some core things here at the first couple pages just to make sure we're okay. Grading procedures, it's the same thing as any other class that you would be taking. 93A, 99.2, A-, so on and so forth. It is a CHS class, which we'll get into what that kind of means for you for possible college credit. It is weighted. So whatever your grade GPA is, you will get a plus, I think it's 0.4 for a CHS class. So if you get an A, it's not a 4.0, but it would be a 4.4, and you can pat yourself on the back. So that would certainly kind of figure in. All of you are getting credit for this for North Hills High School transcript. Okay, there is not a cost that you have to pay to take the class. You are here free of charge, public education. You don't have to buy any textbooks or any kind of stuff in order to take the class. Some of you, though, are interested potentially in signing up for a CHS credit, which is $235. That is a lot of money. I'm not going to try to say that it is a small fee. $235, I don't have just extra laying around, and so you might not as well. However, if it's possible, by February the 10th, and I'll go over this in more detail as that date creeps closer since it's still 3-4 weeks away, for $235 you can register for PIT credit. Some of you have done CHS classes before, some of you haven't. The way it works is for the fee, you become a spring semester student at University of Pittsburgh. For those of you who are seniors and you know you are going to Pitt, this is a pretty good deal. We checked last week. I think a single credit at Pitt is $700 and something. So to take this class at Pitt would basically cost $2,200 or part of your semester tuition. For $235, you take the class, you get the credit, and you get the grade. So if Monica takes the class, signs up, gets an A, she goes to Pitt, those are 3 credits that she would not have to take, and she would go in with being a 4.0. So some of you are doing AP or have done AP classes where you can get the credits through the exam. There's not a Pitt test that you have to take. You simply just get whatever grade you earn. I don't care if you sign up for the Pitt credit or not. I don't get steak knives or gift cards or free Lego sets or tickets to sporting events based on the number of people that sign up. All things being equal, you're getting about an 88-89% discount to take the class here if you're going to Pitt. So in that sense, it makes sense. It saves you sense, but that's not always something that works, based on the time. If you want to sign up, but financially you're not sure it's feasible, let me know personally. You don't have to raise your hand. There are some scholarship opportunities that are generally available. I can't guarantee that they're still available, but while you can't get the credits for free, there are some discounts that you can apply for, basically scholarships, grants that will take place. So if that's something you're interested in, we can have that conversation as well. But again, if Martin signs up, he doesn't get graded differently than someone who is or is not signed up. Your assignments are all the same. If you've taken CHS chemistry with Mrs. Biscup or Mr. Clark does the CHS business calc, there are Pitt tests that you have to do. We don't have to do any of that. We're not taking field trips to Pitt for you to do exams and finals and all those kinds of things. So Pitt gives me a lot of freedom with this class, which is good for you. So the registration fee is March the 1st, where they have to get all their materials. I get the stuff from you in February, so that gives us a little bit of a grace period to get that stuff in, and so that you can get registered. Any questions about Pitt credit, CHS, and all that stuff? If you're not going to Pitt, but you know where you are going, should you take the college route, I would suggest checking in with that school. Hey, Penn State, Slippery Rock, Allegheny, Dayton, will you accept a communication and rhetoric credit class from Pitt? You might not get the grade, but you could get a transfer of credit. So Jake decides that he's going to go to Akron, going to Ohio. I don't know. There's not a guaranteed list. I bet they would probably accept the credit because most colleges are going to have you take some kind of communication, public speaking kind of class. Lecture. So that would be worthwhile for you to check in and see again if that's a cost that is useful for you. All right. Any other questions? All right. So that's option there for you to certainly think about. On the second page, just want to go over a couple quick little things with you. Mainly, people always kind of ask, what do we do? What are types of assignments that are going to take place? I expect that you'll be able to read through this and kind of look at things on your own. But I want to let you know main types of things that would take place, and you already have a couple of these under your belt or soon to be under your belt. We do some homeworks and small assignments and reading assignments and quizzes early on. Really, the class kind of breaks down into two halves. We got about 18, 19 weeks of the class. The first half, it's more background, note kind of taking, some reading assignments, things like that. We'll do some speaking activities, but they won't be quite as prevalent as I think what people initially think. I'm pretty candid. First half of this class is kind of boring. Second half of the class, a little more fun. Don't say I didn't warn you. So that first component is probably a little bit more academic. Now, yes, we'll still do some speaking. Yes, we still will argue a little bit, and maybe Jake will get made fun of or attacked, or maybe he will be the one doing the attacking when we do our first couple debates. But it's not going to be a consistent thing early on. Some people take the class because they go, hey, I can argue about whatever I want, whenever I want. No, you can't. It's certainly still structured and whatnot in that regard. Yes, we'll explore some issues. We try to do some current event things for the most part. Presidential years are always fun because there's a lot of stuff going on, and maybe a little bit more fun in the fall than it is in the spring from an election standpoint. But we'll look at a lot of different things, but there are still going to be homework assignments, reading assignments, quizzes taking place. We'll do a fair amount of research throughout the course of the year, go over that kind of stuff. We do still do some essays throughout the course of the semester. You're going to write 2 article analyses for me where you find an argument and you analyze it. We do have a midterm exam that is kind of like our Pitt test, where it's not a test coming from Pitt, but we do have to do a major test covering foundations, terminology, vocabulary, all that kind of stuff of rhetoric. And then we do a fair amount of speaking activities as well. So we'll be doing SPAR debates, which are very informal debates. We'll be doing some team debates, individual things, student congress. This should not scare anybody off, and I'm not trying to eliminate the number. We have 24 people, which is a big class, but it's an even number, which is also good for when we break off into teams, assuming Luke is still here. When we do our speaking activities, you're not going to come up with your speech and like read it word for word. You might have some notes with you, you might have a note card, you have an outline, but you're not going to be reading something because then you're not actually speaking to us. So I'm not trying to get anybody to drop the class, but I want to let you know right now, if you have fear that I'm not going to be able to speak without a paper in front of me, it's word for word what you want to say, we're going to have to overcome that fear. Now, that's a real fear, and I'm not saying that how terrible if you have that fear, and we will do things to try to eliminate it and whatnot, but I don't want anyone to be shocked and surprised. Wait a minute, I didn't know I couldn't do that when those speaking times come. Next week, we're going to do our first little debate, and you have no idea what the topic is going to be or who you're debating until that time comes. So it's very informal. It'll be a way for us to kind of maybe hopefully get over those first couple hurdles. If you do have a fear of public speaking, I think this is certainly a good class because you are going to have to public speak at some point, interviews for college, jobs, talking to teachers, talking to mom and dad without twisting up your words, finding logical fallacies in what they say so you can get in more trouble when they realize that you were smarter than them. Those are all things that we'll try to work with. And then getting out of that trouble when they realize that you're smarter than them. Be assertive. We do also have a final exam semester class at the end. This is examination combining objective and short answer questions. That's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be a speaking assignment, towards the end of the year. The big thing is be here, be on time, have your stuff. If you are not here, check your weekly syllabus, check your calendar, online, paper, so you know what's going on. And if there are some extended absences that are going to take place, people do get sick, stuff happens, understand that, let me know. A lot of what we do is predicated on you being here. So if Mary's not here on a day that she needs to do a debate, we can't do it because she's not here. So that can have an effect on her, and it can certainly also have a domino effect on us. So do your best to be here, and if you can't, let me know. The very last page, so this is the final page of your course syllabus, and it's a page, I wouldn't do it right now, but you'll be able just to rip off. There's nothing on the back side that you need to have. This I would like you to fill out, put your name up at the top, please go print. Some of you have messy handwriting, so try to be as neat as you can. And then This is gauging interest level. This is not saying, yes, I definitely will, or no, I would not. But I would like parent, guardian, grandparent, whomever, to give me a check that, yes, I'm interested in my son, daughter signing up for the PIC credit, or no, I don't think at this point I'm interested. I don't care again. But if you mark off yes, that means that I'll check in with you later on to say, hey, Ryan, you told me you wanted to sign up for credit. I haven't heard anything about it from you yet. Forms due soon. Do you still want to? And again, if you put no, you can certainly still sign up for it, but this is just an initial reaction. Where do you think you are? Get a parent signature, date, and then email, phone number. You bring that into me by Friday. You get yourself, nothing apparently. 5 points. Okay.
Should we have like a binder or a folder for the class?
I like binders. Folders. I don't know what Jake's backpack looks like. I don't even know if Jake has a backpack. Do you? I envision it being like a mess. I know Luke's is a mess. Luke, like 1. We got 1, 2, 3. 3's missing. I think binder would work best just so it doesn't get destroyed. The first half of the year, yeah, there'll be a fair number of notes. Anytime or most times that I give you stuff, I do try to remember to whole bunch it, and so it's easier to kind of keep organized with that. But there's not going to be a notebook check. Anyone who has said Mrs. Burns for American Lit, not only do you listen to Bruce all the time, but you have to do those notebook checks throughout the course of the year with the agenda written down. I'm not doing that. If you have faith that you're okay with your folder, Luke's got a folder. Okay. But if it falls apart, it's not my fault. I thought we would start notes today. We're not starting notes today. But tomorrow we'll be able to do that. So tomorrow when you come in, you do want to have a notebook, binder, something, because we're going to start taking some notes, do some background stuff with Intro to Rhetoric. If you think of any questions between now and then, certainly let me know tomorrow morning.